Hi, it's Dr. Lynn Fox again, and we are continuing on with the 13th interaction of TESA, Teacher Expectation and Student Achievement. We are also back to Strand A, relating to giving everyone the same opportunity to have the experiences of being engaged with the content. And today we're going to be talking about higher level questions or critical thinking skills. Unfortunately, what happens is high achievers always get those questions in the classroom, and low achievers usually do not have that opportunity unless the teacher consciously remembers to make sure that everybody has a chance to do that. The reason it's so important is they cause an individual to really think, to go outside of the box in their thinking, and to really look at the information from, in my opinion, a more creative and interesting way. Now, there are three types of questioning, types of questions that teachers ask. And the one that is the most common and is also the most frequent is called recall. And this is usually reciting the same information that they have just learned. So it's things like, okay, would you name the three people that did such and such? Or would you match the two items that are similar? Or would you complete the sentence with the appropriate word? So these are actually very low-level thinking questions. They're important, especially with factual information and recall. And that's why it's called recall. But we want to make sure that low achievers are not the only ones that get that type of question, and that we as teachers engage them in higher level thinking activities. So the second type of questioning is called processing or cause and effect. And this is where, once again, the high achievers and the kids that have their hands up, unless we're telling them to all answer the question on a sheet of paper, or we're asking students, because we have done the proximity and we're looking around the room to individuals who normally don't answer a question, that we hardly ever ask the student that we think maybe they don't know it. We don't want to put them on the spot. Truth is, we need to put them on the spot, because if they don't have opportunities to be engaged with this type of thinking, then they're not going to learn how to do it. It just doesn't happen by osmosis. Second type of questioning is processing, and where you do have the cause and effect. So you ask them to do things like analyze the information, classify it, where they have to really think rather than just tell you, to make inferences, to organize it in another type of situation, or to put it in their own words. The last and the third type of questioning that we're going to discuss is called higher level questioning, and this is more application thinking. What do I do with this information? Or take this information and apply the principles that we discussed in another setting. So what we're doing here is we're getting them to think. We're getting them to use this information. Now, there's something I want to bring up whenever you go into this area. First of all, teachers usually do not do this unless the textbook gives them the question. I recommend that all the teachers I work with, whether you're a sub or a regular classroom teacher or a special ed teacher or your veteran teacher, that you actually, on your lesson plan, you write down a question for every lesson, and then you bring it to the students. It could be in a quick write at the beginning, or it could be at the end of the lesson, and everybody gives you their response to it. There's a couple of things that does happen when you do this. Many times when you're doing higher level questions, they may not have one correct answer. And that's kind of why I love them, because it makes the students think out of the box and come up with, hey, that could be used in this situation. Or they get really creative and come up with something, and this is how people invent things. They come up with a new idea or a new way of handling the situation. You'll have better class engagement, and the students will be learning skills that are going to help them in their everyday life. Thank you very much.
Here we are again. This is Sandra Elliott, and we're talking about using higher levels of critical thinking. And what's important, I think, in the classroom, and I want to pick right up on what Dr. Fox said about trying to think outside of the box. And in particular, when you're dealing with students who you may not know if you're a sub, or you're, beginning your year as a teacher, establishing a relationship, is that their interests in their outside life are important. And so bringing that around to the main subject of the lesson, for instance, in your anticipation guide, you can ask what this particular topic has to do with an issue in real life, asking them to think outside of the box. Going back to this idea of a quick write, that helps, one, settle students down and get them engaged, but the way you word your quick write, you can then move them beyond just a simple date or a one-word answer, which is the lowest level of critical thinking. When you're asking students to put two things together, that's a form of synthesis. When you ask them to apply it to their lives, now we're at the higher level of critical thinking, where they have to put everything together and come up with an actual application of the concept. In our little handbook, we have 2 pages that focus on asking questions. It's page 137 and 138. Encourage your students to clarify, expand, or support whatever they're saying, and we talked about that with delving. And also letting students compose their own questions now and asking them to construct them at a higher level of thinking. If you try some of these ideas, I think what you will do, whether you're a sub or regular classroom teacher, it can sharpen your awareness of how you want to set up your day and your lesson plan.